You can buy access, you can buy proximity, you can buy status, but you can't buy standards. I was standing inside a private members club in Marbella this summer. 100,000 euros just to join. 5 million euros minimum property just to be allowed through the gate. Champagne flowing. Watches worth more than some people's annual income. Cars parked outside that never get driven. And everywhere I looked, soft bodies, weak posture, men struggling to stand up. They looked powerful on paper and fragile in person. If I had their money, I would never let myself look like that. That's when it hit me. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Money didn't fail them. Standards did. Most men don't have a money problem. They have a self-respect problem. Because if fitness mattered to you, truly mattered, it would already be handled. Not talked about, not postponed, not getting back to it in January. Handled. And if you're honest with yourself right now, you already know. Welcome back to Iron Suits, where strength wears the crown. I am Marwan Killu, your host. Here's a line that's going to stink. Most men don't quit fitness. They were never in it in the first place. Not discussed, not delayed, not renegotiated every January. They rent commitment until the event ends, the pain fades, or the calendar changes. What happens to your standards when your reason disappears? Because if your why is temporary, your body will be temporary too. What's your actual reason for stepping into the gym? What's driving you to meal prep or go for that run or get your steps in or try hitting your macros, hitting your calories? I've been thinking a lot about this lately because we're about to see the same cycle play out again. There's going to be thousands of people making the exact same New Year's resolution they've made for the past decade, maybe even longer. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to try the same ridiculous approach that they've tried every single year before. They'll tell themselves, this time I'll just have more willpower. This time I'll be more disciplined in 2026. Because it feels good to start with a fresh goal, right? There's that buzz, that new energy. But here's the thing. I don't need to be a fucking rocket scientist to tell you this. If the same approach hasn't worked for years, for the last 10 years, what makes you think that suddenly it's going to click now? I can almost guarantee you're going to get more of the same results, which is to say, nothing. Now, let me break down different reasons people jump into fitness. People start training for a holiday. I just need to look good for 2 weeks. 2-week transformation. 2-week effort. Some start for a wedding. Once the photos are done, I can breathe. Cameras, compliments, then silence. Some start after a divorce. I'll show them what they lost. Revenge body, rage fuel, 6 months of obsession. Then the wound closes. So does the gym membership. Some do it for performance, race day, medal, photo. Then the goal is gone and they drift. Once I cross the finish line, I'm done. Some do it for bodybuilding, stage lights, shredded for a moment. Then real life returns and the discipline doesn't. Some do it for the kids. I just want to be a role model until the kids grow up and the role disappears. I want to set a good example. For now, none of these are bad reasons to start, but they're all the same kind of reason. External, temporary, conditional. They're just not strong enough to last. Here's what nobody plans for. The holiday ends, the wedding passes, the pain fades, the medal goes in a drawer, and suddenly, why am I even doing this anymore? That's not burnout, that's exposure. Because when the reason walks out the door, all that's left is who you are without it. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. You don't stop because you lost motivation. You stop because the real driver walked out of the door. When the wedding is over, you're exposed. When the holiday ends, you're alone with your habits. When the divorce pain fades, you're back to comfort. But basically, when you get another woman, you start to get comfortable again. Start to acquaint yourself with that person. Silent conversation you don't say out loud. If I don't have a deadline, I don't move. If nobody's watching, I don't lead. If there's no reward, I don't care. I'm successful, so why can't I control my own body? And that's a real humiliation. You can run a company, but you can't run yourself. Men who win long term don't train for outcomes. They train from identity. If you need motivation, it's not who you are yet. If nobody's watching, will I still show up? Fitness becomes permanent when it stops being negotiable. Because fitness isn't a hobby when you respect yourself. It's a standard. And standards don't require motivation. Standards require a backbone. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Time exposes everybody. A year of training means nothing. 2 years means you're still auditioning. 10 years? Now it's no longer an effort, or it's no longer effort. It's DNA. I've never stayed consistent that long. That's the difference between men who dabble and men who embody standards. Because anyone can get obsessed when their scale is moving. Anyone can be disciplined when they're getting compliments. But when nothing is happening, when life is busy, when nobody cares, that's when standards show up. If you're like me and you have your mother-in-law staying with you for a holiday and telling you yet your body doesn't look very good, despite being in top tip shape, 9% body fat, breaks for abs, right? Then what do? You got two choices. Either you're like, whatever, or you just carry on, or you just like go completely the other way. I think it's with us Arabs. There's no middle ground. Like if you gain weight, oh, you've gained weight. If you lost weight, oh, you've lost weight. There's no in between. Anyway, so I started at 16. I was the weakest kid in the room, embarrassed, visible. I didn't fall in love in training because it was fun. I fell in love with it because weakness felt like a public identity. The reasons changed over the years. Girls, confidence, marriage, injury, comebacks. But the habit stayed. And by the way, I'm not knocking my mother-in-law. It was just a joke. Because somewhere along the way, right, the habit stayed because somewhere along the way, training stopped being something that I did and became something that I don't negotiate. So whenever you're at in your journey, maybe you're the person who just went through a divorce and you're thinking, damn it, I need to get my shit together. Maybe you're the person with a wedding coming up and you want to look your absolute best that day. Now, I'm not saying any of those are bad reasons to start. They're not, but what I'm saying is that those reasons aren't going to keep you in the game forever. I remember when I got married, it was just like, when I was newly married, it was non-negotiable, the gym. My wife would wait for me for like 2 hours, 3 hours, no, 4 hours rather, before I got back home. She'd be like, where are you? I'm like, oh, I was training. I was doing my cardio and I was doing my weight training. And it's still not negotiable. I will always find the time to train. I will always find the time to train, even if it's midnight. And I've done it before. When I used to work in corporate, I've gone to the gym at midnight. I come back at 2 o'clock in the morning. Even 1 o'clock, I'll go to the gym. I don't care. I've gone to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So you're going to have to dig deeper to find more meaningful reasons if you want to stay committed for life. And why should you want to stay in this game for life? Because you're living in the only body you're ever going to get in this lifetime. You might as well take care of it properly. Think about it. How many cars can you drive in your lifetime? If the car falls apart, well, just get a new one. Who cares, right? Money comes and goes. Think about this as you're maybe you've written down as you're looking at your goals for 2026, or maybe you're still writing down your goal for 2026. Ask yourself this question right now. Whether you're walking outside, whether you're on the treadmill, lifting weights, or maybe driving in your car and listening to me. How much of a priority is fitness actually going to be for you in this year, 2026? For some of you listening, you're thinking, damn it, I've been following this content, since you started. I've listened to the podcast. I've followed you on social media, on Facebook. It's time. Money might be tight, but I love myself enough to invest in whatever it takes to get started, to actually learn how to take care of my health properly. For some of you, money's not an issue at all. You're business owners with millions in the bank. Some of you are already deep into optimization at the highest level. And even that doesn't automatically mean fitness is a top priority for you. So how are you going to prioritize your health for the rest of your life starting in 2026? How big of a priority is it really going to be? Because it's not just about money or whether you pay for a coaching program. It's about how you organize your entire schedule so that you're not skipping workouts or handled emails. You're not missing training sessions because you'd rather maintain your social calendar. You're not sacrificing fitness for all other stuff that's actually a priority based on what you do, not what you say. Your actions reveal your true values, not your words. So when you write down your fitness goals for the new year, for this year, or maybe you look at your goals for this year, or for any reason at all, the next critical step is to really examine how you're going to prioritize it in practice. So I want to tell you something about happened back in the summer, and that really crystallized the entire concept for me. I was out in Marbella, Spain, and I got invited to this insanely exclusive private members club. And when I say exclusive, I mean like exclusive. This place cost 100,000 euros just to join. 100,000 euros just for the membership. Okay. And here's a kicker. You can't even apply to join unless you own a property in this specific gated estate. They won't let you in through the gates otherwise. Okay. And I was there as a guest of someone who's a member and owns a property there. Alas, I don't have my property over there yet, but give it time. And just to give you a perspective on this level of wealth that we're talking about, okay? The cheapest villa in this estate starts at around 5 million. 5 million euros is the entry point. So we're all up to this club, and when I walk in, the place is absolutely fucking packed. Like shoulder to shoulder packed. Middle of the day, midweek, and it's like full of people. Right? If you go to Marbella, then Marbella's like in the summer, it's like party every time. Right? Especially those members clubs. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. The people would go for lunch, people would go for dinner, people would go for brunch, and the places are packed, especially when it's sunny, as it is pretty much every single day of the summer. It starts from around about late May all the way to like September, October, when it's sort of like the golf season starts around about September. So people go there and still play golf. I've been there in Christmas time, New Year, and the temperature was like 21 degrees centigrade, which is, what's 21 degrees centigrade into Fahrenheit? 69. So it's in the 70s on New Year's Day. Okay. Okay. So, all right, where were we? Okay. We woke up to try and get a table, and the staff asked us if we have a reservation. Excuse me. And I'm standing there thinking, like, what the fuck do you mean? Do we have a reservation? Like, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, this is a fucking private members club that costs 100,000 euros to fucking join. There's like a couple of hundred members in total. Why the hell would I need a reservation? And yeah, it turns out that you need a reservation, even when you've already paid 6 figures to just be there, right? And even when there's a small pool of members who can access the place, you still need to book ahead. So that should tell you about how popular this spot is amongst the people with that level of wealth. Now, let me paint you a picture of what this place looks like, okay? The estate has 2 private championship golf courses, not one, but 2. So we're talking about 36 holes, 36 holes. I don't know the exact acres exactly, but full tennis facilities, multiple paddle courts, a complete equestrian center with stables and riding grounds. And some of these villa owners have private gourmet chefs on staff in their homes. Eh? There's a fucking helipad for helicopter transport because some members fly in rather than drive. All right. That is that level of wealth that we're talking about. This is the top 0.01%. So I finally get seated and I'm sitting there looking around at all these people, and I'm watching them. No, by the way, I wasn't sitting there on my own. I was like a guest of someone. So I'm watching these people fucking like, absolutely watching like bottles of Dom Perignon and vintage wines that probably cost somewhere between 2,000 to 5,000 euros a bottle. Oh, we've got low battery. It should be all right for a bit longer. And they're ordering them like they're ordering. Give me 1 second. Just going to get my charger and plug it in. I had 40% at the beginning, and I thought that was going to be enough. So I'm just going to keep talking whilst I plug in my charger, and we'll get back to you. Here we are. Okay, so these guys were like taking bottles of Dom Perignon, like vintage wines, and like ordering them like they're ordering bottles of water, right? There's like bottle after bottle coming to the table. And the staff are like bringing out more champagne, more wine. The women are like decked out in these designer everything. Hermes bags, Cartier jewelry, Rolex watches dripping off their wrists, wrists. And the guys are wearing like designer casual wear that probably costs more than a decent used car. You know, kitted out in all these suits and stuff. And I'm observing all this wealth, all this luxury, all this absolute excess. And I start looking at, like really looking at these people, not their clothes or their jewelry or their watches. I'm looking at their bodies. I'm looking at their physical health. And what I'm seeing is the absolute mediocrity. And honestly, like mediocre would be way too generous to describe these guys. You know, they're like some of these guys in their 40s and 50s with massive guts hanging over their belts. Now, I'm seeing people struggling to get out of their chairs. I'm watching them waddle to the bathroom. Okay. Some of these guys legitimately cannot see their own dicks when they look down because their stomachs are so distended. Now I'm seeing their like terrible posture, weak, slumped shoulders, no muscle tone whatsoever. I'm seeing faces that are puffy and bloated from years of excessive drinking and poor nutrition. I'm seeing people who look 20 years older than they probably are. And remember, these aren't poor people who can't afford good food or gym memberships or personal trainers. These are people who dropped 100,000 on a golf club membership. These are people living in 5 million, 10 million, 20 million villas. These are people drinking €3,000 bottles of wine on a random Tuesday afternoon. And I'm sitting there having this realization that's hitting me like a fucking truck. These people will drop 100,000 on a golf club membership without even thinking about it. They'll spend 50,000 euros on a watch. They'll drop 200,000 on a car they'll barely even drive. By spending 3,000, 4,000, or 5,000 euros to actually fix their bodies, to hire a real coach, to invest in their health, that seems crazy to them. That seems like too much money. That seems unnecessary. And here's what made it even more stark. This place has like state-of-the-art gym, like top-of-the-line equipment, everything you could possibly need. Like all the stuff has been imported from like America and like Europe. Like I'm talking top-of-the-range machines like target every single area of your body. Like we're talking about machines that will target you lengthened, shortened, and mid-range for the guys that are technical. All right, of the muscle. And it's crazy. I mean, some of these machines probably cost in excess of 10,000, whatever, euros, dollars. I don't know. So later I walked there to check it out, and you know what I see? The same fucking thing, right? Weak, soft, mediocre bodies going through the motions. People barely breaking a sweat. Quarter rep squats with terrible form. Guys curling weights that are way too light while checking their phones in between sets. Women on the treadmill at walking pace, more focused on their conversation than actually training. Right? Nobody pushing themselves, nobody uncomfortable, nobody actually working, just mediocrity in motion. Just checking a box so they can tell themselves they went to the gym. Motion without intention is just disguise. At least I showed up. Showing up isn't the standard. Ownership is. You can't buy discipline. You can't purchase self-respect at the pro shop. Those things only come from doing the hard shit nobody wants to do when nobody's watching. And the irony is crushing. They're sitting in this palace of wealth and luxury with every resource imaginable at their fingertips, and they're prisoners in bodies that are falling apart. They build financial empires, but they're living in physical ruins. They have all the money in the world, and they're too uncomfortable to enjoy it. And you can tell that by their actions. You can tell that with their actions. Okay, you can tell somebody if they have, whether they have money or they don't, how they act, especially when they drink too much. Okay, and how they act when they're drunk. And you can tell what kind of person they are when they're drunk. Now, listen, not everybody listening to this episode or this show has those kind of means yet. Maybe you don't. Maybe some of you do. And if you do have that kind of money, I really want you to consider something. Is a Ferrari more important than your body? Is a Lamborghini more important than your body? Is a fucking golf club membership more important than your body? Is a Rolex watch more important than your body? If you're someone who does have significant means and your business is complete dog shit, I'll take a really good hard look in the mirror tonight, because there's a serious problem there. But if you don't have the means, then you do everything else you possibly can to optimize your health, and you do with what you do have, because your health should be number one. Your physical health, your mental health, that should be at the top of the priority list, period. Because if you're losing health, doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. No matter what else you have accumulated, it doesn't mean shit. You can't enjoy any of it. That makes logical sense to most of you. I know it does. So whether you have the means to completely optimize your health and wellness at the highest level, or whether you're still on your way to building that kind of wealth, the fundamental question remains the same. What are you going to do in 2026 to put yourself first? What are you going to do to put your health first? And of course, the answer is going to be different for everybody. Your situation is unique. Your resources are unique. Your circumstances are unique. But you've got to stop acting like health is important whilst your actions say otherwise. You've got to stop saying fitness is a priority while behaving in completely contradictory ways. In completely contradictory ways, should I say. Because your actions are going to tell the real story. Your actions are what reveal the truth about you and what you actually value. And I want crystal clear clarity. I want energy that doesn't crash at 2 p.m. I want to feel strong and capable in my body. I want to have a sex drive like I had when I was 25. All right, I'm 48 now. And these are things that matter. These are things that make life worthwhile living fully. So let me take you back to Marbella. This private members club, the 100,000 euros to join, and you can't even apply until you own a property inside the estate. 2 championship golf courses, tennis, padel, equestrian centre, helipad. The kind of place where excess is normal. And I'm watching men dropping wine like water, dropping thousands on wine like it's water, while their bodies look like they've been abandoned for a decade. And here's what I realized. They didn't lack knowledge. They lacked standards. because you can't buy self-respect. You can't outsource discipline. You can't drink Dom Perignon in a palace and pretend you're not living in a physical ruin. So here's the real question. Are you funding an image or building an instrument? I've prioritized everything else first. Your body is the only asset you take into every room. If fitness is still something you fit in, it's not part of who you are yet. And time will make sure you find out. That's all I got to you for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If this episode was helpful, make sure you share it with another leader who's a little bit too comfortable, because as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you get notifications when a new episode goes live. Leave me a comment on iTunes. Tell me how great the show is or not. I don't mind. Which you can leave me a good comment if you like, or you can leave me a bad comment. Tell me how much you hate me and how much sense that I'm making. Or you can tell me that you love me, that you love me. I'm only joking. Follow me on my socials. I am on Facebook under Marwan Killu, or LinkedIn Marwan Killu Fitness. You can even watch this show on YouTube if you like at youtube.com Marwan Killu. Until next time, have a great day and I'll talk to you soon.